Okay, so just before we get into the September 22 instalment of this month for UK Funfairs, we're going to be holding off the rest of the Bridgewater videos from this year. So we've got basically uploaded stuff that either has never been here before or hasn't been here for years. But now that we have done that, we're going to be cutting that for now, and we're making way for the videos from Nottingham Goose Fair this year. And once sometime on those videos, we may have something else in between. We have got our eyes on Tavistock and Salisbury for October. So the later videos of Bridgewater will be released at a later date. Could be at the end of October, could be early November. Don't know, depends on where we get to and whatever we end up getting. So until then, let's see what's been happening this month in UK Funfairs. So hello and welcome to the September 2022 instalment of this month of UK Funfairs, which I'm sure that some of you watching this may be as well known, but it is known as World Funfair Month, a campaign that was established by the Future Fairgrounds campaign last year actually. Now normally at this part of the video we would include events, but we don't feel there is really anything worth touching up on. So what we're going to do instead is we did have thoughts about doing a Bridgewater special of this month in UK Funfairs. Now what we've actually decided to do instead is give Bridgewater Fair its own segment in this instalment of this month in UK Funfairs. So with that being said, let's walk around and see what is either new to Bridgewater or hasn't been to Bridgewater in years. So let's take a look.
Bridgewater Fair this year took place from Wednesday the 28th of September to Saturday the 1st of October and was held at the usual place, that was St Matthew's Field. In the segment we're going to be covering what is either new to this fair, returning after some years absent, and a notable change. First up, let's take a look at some first-time appearance. First up is the No Limits Miami of Charles Porter. Built by Eagle Fabrications in September last year, the ride occupied the position that Joey Whitelegs Tagada has done for several years. That ride was sold to Billy Farrell in February last year. Also new to Bridgewater was this funhouse named Monkey World, owned by Jordan Herbert. Last year the funhouse that was on this position was occupied by one called Jungle, owned then by Macaulay Hart and Marissa Locke. But that one was sold to David Taylor at the end of last year. We can't recall anything occupying this particular position at last year's fair, but this time round the spot was filled by this little family roller coaster built by Govan Rides in August 2021 for Stephen Hill. Typically Bridgewater doesn't see a coaster on this scale with this track layout, so this felt like something of a rarity. And of course the star attraction for this year had to be the top spin of Clayton Hackett. The spot it was on is normally minded by A.B. Danter's Wild Mouse Coaster, but that was in Nottingham for Goose Fair as both events clashed this year. This is the UK's only top spin, and the last time we saw this one was 12 years ago in Nottingham during Michael Mulholland's ownership. And it looks completely unrecognisable from back then. Now, on to returning rides. Making its first appearance since 2017 was the KMG Freak out of George D. Vey Jr. It sat on the same position that it did back in that year, which was occupied by William Roberts Megaspin the previous 2 year the fair took place. Andrew Holmes the Concan made a comeback after it attended in 2018. This year it was on the other end of the fair from the last and was on the position usually occupied by Joey Noyce's Skyflyer, which we will admit we were baffled at why it wasn't here this year. We never got a definite answer as to why it wasn't here. Another ride that made its first appearance here since 2018 was this Superstar. At the time it was owned by Edward Deacon, who sold the ride to John Davis back in August 2020 and has been looking unrecognisable since. Here it was back at Bridgewater 2022, but for the first time with John. After a year's absence, Danter's Air made a comeback. The ride was absent due to it going under a major rebuild by its manufacturer Zira in Germany due to design faults. This saw 75% of the ride being rebuilt and 20% of the seating sacrificed due to health and safety issues. Regardless, it was great to have Air back travelling again, let alone to be at Bridgewater. Now for one notable change. This ghost train, built and owned by Gilbert Chadwick Jr., has been a regular at Bridgewater for several years since it was made in 2007. But this is the first time it's been to Bridgewater under the ownership of David Irvin, who bought the ride from Gilbert in October last year.
So with that out of the way, let's see what's been happening in terms of new rides.
Arthur Price Jr. has purchased a brand new Dodge Track fresh from CBK Technic in Poland. News on where Arthur will be first taking this have not come into light, but we're loving the look of this one, especially with the red fencing. Denzel Dantier's Funfair have announced that a new ride will be joining the family ready for the 2023 season. They did say the details will be revealed within the next weeks after posting this, but so far nothing has come into light as to what it is that they are getting. Following the last couple of reports on this, John Davis' brand new Tivoli remix named Jetforce has been completed. It made its first outing at Colchester in Essex, where we were actually there for the first weekend the event was open. Unfortunately, the ride was not ready for opening due to insurance not finalized then. At the time of this episode being released, it can be found at Hull Fair on the same position occupied by Gerald Reeves' Void last year. Funfairs around Scotland have shown a photo of a lighting splat in the works for a brand new machine called Toxic. It hasn't been confirmed exactly what type of ride this will be for, but it suggests to be an outwards-facing gyro swing-style ride from ConFolding Group. There is a name being thrown about as to who this is for, but we are not saying a name due to this being unconfirmed. Perrin Matthews along with nephew Tom Matthews Jr. have both bought a Revision spinning coaster second-hand from a seller in France. It has not been confirmed at this time which exact coaster they had bought. It will make its debut at the Shocktober event held at Tully's Farm in Crawley of West Sussex. We should have an update on this in the next episode.
And finally, let's have a look at some ride changes that have happened during the month.
Graham Stokes and Liam Edwards, who ran Orbital Enterprises, have sent their Tivoli Orbiter aboard to Stephanie Stappers and Gilles de Clark in Belgium, who first opened the ride in the town of Aalter, which is in the Belgian province of East Flanders. Many will remember this ride being brand new to the Wall family in 1989 before brief ownership with Team Sterling between 2014 to 2018. John Cogger has sold his Maxwell Waltzer to Scott Pillen. The ride, which was the third waltzer with a spinning top that now stands static, is yet to make its debut with the new owner at the time of writing this. Perrin Print has sold his Sabima Superbog to Dalton Taylor. The new owner is currently looking for a ground to first open up with the ride and is asking across various Facebook groups. Harry Scarrett has sold his ConFolding Group Extreme named Vortex to Henry Stutt. However, the new owner will not take possession of the ride until after this year's St. Ives Michaelmas Fair. This is also only the second outwards-facing extreme gyro swing-style ride to change hands in the UK. After a few years under Irish ownership, Alfie Bell has sold his Sabima Superbog to David James Hackett. The ride, which is best known for its time under the ownership of Freddie Stokes from 1982 to 2015, is making a comeback to the UK after quite a few years in Ireland. And with all that, back to you at Bridgewater.
So that is it for the September 2022 instalment of this month's UK Funfairs. So now that we have done that, the Goose Fair videos from this year will start being released. And like I said previously, the videos from Bridgewater will be released hopefully later on in the autumn. So until then, thank you so much for watching and see you later.